He owns and operates the Pack a Day podcast that airs 365 days a year with over 12 million views on YouTube. A new adventure begins. It's time for the Pack a Day radio show with Andy Herman on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey
Tackle well against Saquon. You got to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket and not let him scramble. That's the big thing, and let those drives get extended. And you got to set edges. You got to set edges in the run game. You got to close backside. Running to the ball is going to be key. Getting turnovers is going to be key. You got to punch the ball out. You got to get turnovers. And yeah, I mean, when we get a chance to get after the quarterback, we got to be smart. But at the same time, we got to get after him.
That was Dallas Cowboy Kenny Clark. Still weird to hear, still weird to say, talking about tonight. Yes, Tommy, tonight's Philadelphia Eagle, Dallas Cowboy game. We are so freaking back. That was courtesy of WPVI. Welcome in, everybody, to the Pack a Day radio show. Happy Thursday. We are live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. My name is Andy Herman. Thank you so much for joining us every morning, 8 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. We appreciate that a ton. Of course, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on the radio waves. We're just about everywhere that you want to find us. And you can join us on the show via the Nicolay Law Fan Talker text line, 414-677-1250, or by shooting us a message or a comment on YouTube as well. We have a very special guest today. Tommy's our very special guest today. No, we had Brandon Thorne scheduled for our second hour today. Ran into a little bit of a scheduling snafu, so Brandon's going to be joining us tomorrow, along with our normally scheduled guest tomorrow, Russell Brown. So we've got double guests coming up tomorrow. And we've just got a lot of Packers and NFL talk coming up today for the next hour. So stay here with us, Pack a Day radio show. And then, of course, we've got the Mason Crosby show coming right after that. So it's a epic lineup this morning for you guys. We've got a ton to get into before we get there. Tommy, how the heck are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Andy. Happy beginning of 2025 NFL football. Real football starts today, Andy. We did it.
We made it. We deserve it. We've gone 7 months talking football without actual football. I mean, we've done it. We made it, and now we actually get to talk about the real thing, actual football amongst us. It feels great. We'll talk about our prediction for that game as we wrap things up today as well. But it should be a fun one. Cowboys Eagles. I'm excited to see Kenny Clark on Dallas, and we'll see if Philly still has the same juice that they finished last season with. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Just again to have football back. If it's 49-0, I don't even care. It'll be great to have some semblance of NFL back. No question about it. We'll get into all of that. There's so much that I want to get into. We're going to talk some of the injury report, Packers, Lions. Let's start actually with that injury report, because I think that's one of the more interesting things before we get into this Eagles Cowboys game a little bit, and a little bit more Micah Parsons, because I have even more Micah Parsons stuff for you as well. Injury report yesterday for Green Bay. Did not practice. Nate Hobbs, Jaden Reed for the Packers. Limited were Zane Anderson, Elton Jenkins, Micah Parsons, which still feels crazy to say, Barron Sorrell, Dontavian Wicks, Savion Williams, and a full participant was Jordan Love. And then for Detroit, did not practice Trevor Nosaki, Sion Vakai. And then limited were Coyote Awasaka. And this is just like I bought like 7 vowels trying to do the Lions injury report. And then Isaac Tesla as well, which has got like more A's than it needs. Right. Like they're just filling it up. But that's the injury report for both Green Bay and Detroit. The big ones, of course, in Green Bay, Jaden Reed, Nate Hobbs. It sounds like this might be part plan for Jaden Reed. We'll see if he's back out there at all today or tomorrow. Hopefully, so more importantly, hopefully he's out there for the game, but that's going to be a key one to keep an eye on. And then Nate Hobbs did not practice again. It sounds like he's ramping up, Tommy. You always want to be ramping in the right direction, but not out there yet. So that one gives me the biggest concern at this point. It was great to see Elton back out there practicing. Micah was still practicing. So certainly some good news there, but of any of the Packers, it would feel like Nate Hobbs probably the least likely, and Jaden Reed a lot more up in the air.
Do you think that this game, Andy, we've talked about it with it being a divisional game at the beginning of the year, like there is not a 0% chance that this game does not determine the entire outcome of the season. Do you think with that makes the Packers more likely to push a guy like Nate Hobbs, or be on the more cautious side with Nate Hobbs in the first week of the season?
Yeah, I have a hard time believing they're going to have that like playoff type, like all hands on deck, no matter what, anything like that. It's a long season and they're going to want Nate Hobbs, for the long haul, right? It's not just a one game sprint here. So I think they're going to be cautious with it overall, but there absolutely is a level to it of everyone knows the importance of this game. And, at the same time, we always feel at the beginning of the year, there's going to be a certain level of importance to games. And then, maybe Detroit isn't Detroit. If Jared Goff goes down week 3 and this team is just not anywhere near as good, you never quite know either. So I think you have to let the season be the season and just kind of figure things out as you go along and then kind of figure it out from there. So I think it's important, but not quite that level.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to do that with Jaden Reed, at least in this game. But Nate Hobbs at a position like corner feels like the Packers might be in more of a desperate need. I think Jaden Reed takes a significant step back as far as just opportunities go this year, Andy. I just don't see how they are going to utilize him. And it seems like from all reports, again, with him being banged up, there's been a lot of other guys in his position of, slot to gadget. Now it seems like he gets eliminated out of gadget role altogether, maybe. And I think that's going to be a guy that they will not rush back because I don't think he's really a part of the game plan as much as he was in previous seasons, Andy.
I think he would have been, but to your point, they have options now, right? But this is the other interesting one too, of like, are they trying to make sure that they get, Jaden Reed out there a little bit more until Watson comes back and then have another option? Like they know Watson's coming back in week 5. I think these are all sort of interesting discussions. But the funny thing about that is for every single question that I got, which is like a ton of them, which wide receiver is going to have the best stats? Which one's going to have the best receptions, yards, touchdowns, etc.? Probably a fantasy question more than anything, but there's always that intrigue of like, who's going to lead the Packers in receiving? I just said any of these guys in general can, but the guy that I always lean on was Jaden Reed because he had the most defined role. Like he was in the slot, he did the gadget stuff. They're going to manufacture, like 6-7 touches for that guy almost every single game. So yeah, to me, he was a player that I always that was my go-to answer. And now with the foot injury, if there's any sort of lingering effects, if he has a re-injury of it, or just if they, use him less because they're trying to make it so that he can last through the season, I'm less confident in that even. So this wide receiver group is going to be massively amazing, whether Jaden Reed's healthy or not healthy, of just how they divvy up snaps and targets and things like that. I kind of now default to, I think Wicks and Dobbs and Golden are kind of be probably their primary 3 with to start now, with Reed getting in as much as he can, as much as they feel comfortable with, maybe in some key situations. And then they work Watson back into the groove once he's actually back from injury as well. And then we'll see what you get from Malik Heath. Savion Williams is kind of an option after that. I also don't think that it's entirely impossible that McCole Hardman is a call up for this game simply to be punt returner. Jaden Reed is not, he's not healthy enough to punt. I'd be stunned if they just put him back there as punt returner with the foot injury. I guess it's possible, but I don't think that that's a good idea for anybody. It's not like he's Devin Hester, right? If he's like Devin Hester and he's got the foot, it's like, all right, well, we're putting him back there. I don't care. There's too much reward to do it. He hasn't been great as a punt returner. And then, so if he's not doing it, then the next guy is kind of like Keyshawn Nixon. And Keyshawn Nixon is not only your primary kick returner already, but you also have him as your number 1 corner, and you're maybe down Nate Hobbs. Like, you cannot risk another corner injury in this game. I don't think that you can kind of risk putting him back there and giving him more stuff. So it would not stun me if we saw like Savion Williams and maybe even Malik Heath as like healthy scratches in this game, and McCole Hardman get called up so that he's actually the number 5 wide receiver, the punt returner, and to your point, doing some of that gadget stuff that maybe Jaden Reed would normally have on his plate that they don't want to give him a full helping of because of the foot injury.
Right. And I think that also they will lean on Savion Williams at some point in that gadget role, easily, right? So maybe not in week 1, obviously, but just throughout the year, that's, I think, going to be the opportunities that Savion gets more than any other opportunities, as opposed to being on the outside or wherever he could line up. So I think that acclimating Jaden Reed out of that role earlier is probably going to be more beneficial for Green Bay. And again, I think that Jaden Reed, his, just from a standpoint of opportunities and touches, like, I think it goes way down this year for Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's well within the realm of reason, simply because of the injury. I think if he's healthy, I probably don't agree with that. I think with the health issue being the way that it is, just to sort of limit the wear and tear and try to keep him going throughout the course of the year, I think that definitely is very much in the cards, and we could see less Jayden Reed than what we're used to.
Well, did you think that he was going to be number one coming into this year? Like, just if everything went healthy and perfect, even with drafting of Golden, like, didn't you assume that Jayden Reed would probably be the number one wide receiver?
I think he would have been the most targeted, probably most yards. I would have guessed like he gets the most receptions, targets, yards in this offense in general, just again, because he has that role sort of carved out for him. Yes, I think maybe there's a time where Savion Williams or Christian Watson or a Matthew Golden or one of these players, McCole Hardman, could take a little bit of that from him, but I still think he had the most defined role as the slot guy, the gadget guy, and was going to still do a lot of that. But with the injury, it definitely clouds it.
Yeah, and now I think that a lot of people are almost expecting all of those numbers of receptions, touches, opportunity, whatever. Like, kind of feels like that's going to be Matthew Golden this year now, Andy, right? Am I reading that wrong?
He's going to get a lot of opportunity. And to me, he's the unquestioned starting wide receiver. Like, I think even when Watson comes back, if Reed's healthy, like, I expect Golden to be out there a ton. I think they understand just how much of a playmaker that he is. We'll see just like from the mental standpoint of it, of like how much he can handle for like right away. Can you put him in numerous spots? Is he running the right routes at the right depth and understanding all the checks and the audibles and things like that? That's what I would look at a little bit more from a pure talent standpoint. Dude's got it. There's no question. Like, him and Christian Watson are unequivocally the two most talented wide receivers on this entire roster. And you just want to get those guys out there. I've already started like sort of daydreaming about the Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, Jayden Reed, Christian Watson, Matthew Golden offense. When you get that group going out there, just the pure run after the catch and speed and talent that those five have, if they're all healthy, and hopefully we can get Watson and Reed fully healthy at some point, that 5-man group right there, that's the one. That to me is 3rd and 8. You've got Watson, Reed, Golden, Kraft, Josh Jacobs. That's what I mean. I guess in a 3rd and 8, you could theoretically put Chris Brooks in there just if you need the pass protector more than Jacobs. But you get my point that the talent there is really, really fun to play with.
Yeah, and I think that Tucker Kraft, it wouldn't surprise me if he was second on all those numbers behind Matthew Golden on every other stat. He might lead the team in touchdowns this year. I think
and targets wouldn't even shock me.
Yeah,
like,
if
at
he
all.
was top guy, it really wouldn't surprise. Yeah, I would not. It would not at all. I think that his expectation is to take another quantum leap, as Pat Murphy likes to say, and be at that next level for the tight end position across the NFL. And now with Musgrave healthy and back too, like, is there a chance, Andy, that of the top 4 leaders in targets, 2 of them are tight ends for Green Bay?
That probably is a bridge too far for me, just because I need to see. I mean, I know Musgrave was hurt last year, but he had 7 catches? Like,
right.
I need
it was abysmal last year. Yeah.
I need to see that in motion a little bit more. I think it'll probably be, because to me, it could be like Jacobs just with checkdowns and stuff like that could easily be in that conversation. Tucker Kraft. And then, I mean, again, you have Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, Golden. And even if Watson's back week 5, like if he plays week 5 on, again, I'm interested to see what kind of snap count he gets. I just think it's going to be very spread out, which is why my message to everyone all season long is, hey, you can draft Tucker Kraft, you can draft Josh Jacobs in fantasy, just stay away from wide receivers. And if you are going to take one, Matthew Golden's probably the one to take a flyer on. But to me, it's too much of a wild card right now to try to figure out how they're going to utilize these wide receivers. I'll just add one more thing on top of this when it comes to like just targets and opportunities and things like that. We know like Josh Jacobs is going to be a heavy workload in the offense, but I do think like once Marshawn Lloyd comes back, and if he ever does get healthy, he's going to have a role. And we know that the number 2 running back gets a certain amount of snaps per game. We know that Chris Brooks is going to be in on some 3rd down situations as a pass protector. We know that there's going to be a little bit of a rotation there. At wide receiver, we think there's going to be a lot of bit of a rotation there. At tight end, Tucker Kraft is tight end 1, unquestionably. Like, he could be out there 60 snaps every single game, and it would not surprise me. And yes, Musgrave's going to get his 2 tight end set stuff, and I think you'll see Musgrave take a few snaps from Kraft just to try to limit the wear and tear a little bit. But to me, if you're looking at one guy who's going to be probably on the field the most, that's not Jordan Love or the starting offensive lineman, I would be willing to put money down that Tucker Kraft is the guy that gets the most snaps of any weapon in this offense.
Yeah, I completely agree, Andy. I think that he's going to be a much bigger part of that pass game, maybe just the offense in general, right? You can just say than he was in years past. And last year, he had officially like stole that job from Musgrave based on his play. 2 years ago, obviously Musgrave got a lot more opportunity than Kraft. But I do think, Andy, that this is going to be, I do think that tight ends are going to play a much bigger role in this offense in general, because I do think it's going to be Josh Jacobs' season again, like it was at the end of last year. It took a couple of weeks, and maybe it was a little more apparent after Jordan Love gets hurt and it's week 2, but really almost until like week 7, 8, when they really started to realize like Josh Jacobs is the best player on this offense, and Josh Jacobs needs to have the keys to the Ferrari now of this offense too. Jordan Love, he's played in 4 different halves in his 2 years in the NFL, right? It was, hey, don't give Jordan Love the keys first half. Then it was Jordan Love has give him every car he wants, right?
Yep.
Then the first half, they wanted to come out again in the same way, where it was, let's just have Jordan Love do what he did in the second half all year this year. Well, it didn't go to plan quite the same, and they tried it in the first half, and then they quickly shifted it over to Josh Jacobs. So there hasn't been a lot of consistency in the offensive game plan for Jordan Love, it feels like, at this point. And this year, I think there will be. I just don't think he's necessarily the focal point of that as well. Green Bay always knows that they are a better team if they can run the football. And that's basically every team in the NFL. I understand that. But Green Bay has a top 5 running back in the NFL. They're going to use him as much as possible, and they love having the 12 personnel out there as well. It feels like now, even more so of a recipe to run the football.
I was asked this the other day, and I said, I'm in your camp here. They said, what formation did the Packers open up with this year? And they said, is it going to be 12 personnel? And I said, yeah, I think it is. I think the first snap is in 12 personnel. My guess is like Dobbs and Golden, Musgrave, Kraft, Josh Jacobs in the backfield is the first 12 personnel set. And that's what they open up with in that very first play. It could be anything. It's just one play. If Matt has a specific play out of 11 or something else, nothing would surprise me. But if I were betting, I'd probably guess that the first snap is out of 12 personnel.
Did you really see a huge increase when you were at practices in camp, Andy, in Musgrave's blocking ability? Because that's going to be another storyline that is not necessarily the sexiest. It won't lead on Packers.com. But last year, even when they were giving him his opportunities to come back, if he was on the field, they were passing the football. Like that, what it was, I bet you it's over 90% of the time when he was on the field last year, they threw the football. And this year, Tucker Kraft was not going to have his job taken by any means, but Musgraves had to prove that he was going to be better in run blocking situations. And if he has drastically improved, they're going to use that as much as they can, because I don't know his size right now, but I mean, he's got to be 6'5", right? And his frame is much better to have blocking than really any of the wide receivers for Green Bay, obviously.
He's 6'6", 253 is what he's listed at. Interestingly enough, last year he was on the field for 145 snaps. 74 were pass, 71 was run.
Wow,
so it was pretty much
really?
A 50-50 split. And then the year before that was 312 pass plays, and then 156 run plays. So definitely a little bit more of a split. It was about 2-to-1 pass play in 2023. Last year, again, such a small sample size for Luke last year with just 145 snaps, but it was basically almost an entire 50-50 split beteen pass plays and run plays.
Didn't feel like it at all. It felt like a tell every time he was on the field.
Here's the thing with Luke. He's not I would even say probably a good blocker. He is a get in the way blocker. We're not talking about like Jimmy Graham here, where it's just like you might as well have like a thin sheet of paper in between like the person and the quarterback or the person and the running back, the defender and the running back. He does get in the way well. He gets to his spots. He knows what he's supposed to do. He knows his landmarks. He gets to them quickly. He's just, once you get to that point, he's not super difficult to get through, but he does get there and he does put effort into it at least. So there's at least something there. I haven't seen anything from him. It's so hard in camp to tell blocking stuff just because it's, the vast majority of stuff's not padded. Even what it is, if I'm being honest, I'm not looking at what Luke Musgrave is doing as a blocker quite as much. So yeah, we'll see how he does from a blocking standpoint, but that would certainly be a nice evolution to his game if he could be a little bit better as a blocker. And it's going to need to be something that at least improves a little bit if he wants to get on the field a little bit more, because if you are in two tight ends, you want to have the ability to go out there and be a blocker for Josh Jacobs and get that, two tight end set, because otherwise they're just treating you as a big wide receiver and you don't gain as much of the advantage then from a blocking standpoint. So yeah, all very interesting aspects, all things that we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on throughout the course of this season. And I just think how the sausage is made with how they utilize the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, how they get all those pieces involved, make everyone happy within the offense. I think that's going to be a really interesting, a good challenge, a fun challenge, but an interesting challenge for Matt LaFleur nonetheless. All right, Football Talk on the Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. We'll be right back. We do not have that special guest today, but we are going to be talking probably a little bit of Micah Parsons, and maybe we get into some of our predictions as well. This is the Pack a Day radio show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the Pack a Day Radio Show. We are live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are 49 in sunny Milwaukee right now, high of 65, low of 49. Reminder that the Mason Crosby Show is coming up next, 9 to 11. TJ Lang at 9:15 today, Tommy?
TJ Lang, former Packer, former Lion, going to start taking a look at Green Bay and Detroit this week. I mean, like it's right around the corner, Mr. Herman.
It is insane. I cannot wait. Also, we've got a lot going on today, too. Meet the team behind Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Fan. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer will be broadcasting live and in person at Rally House at the Mayfair Collection in Wauwatosa tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 5, just in time for you to gear up for the Packers home opening game on Sunday. The Fan will even be registering people a chance to win a $250 Rally House gift card. Go see Sparky tomorrow at Rally House in Tosa between 2 and 5 as well. So that is going to be awesome. Do you have that John Gruden clip, Tommy? Because I need to get fired up and run through a wall this morning.
Oh, yeah. I got John Gruden talking about Green Bay and Detroit. This is like smelling
you hear
salts
it
on the
every year.
radio.
Boy, Green Bay drafts and develops. All these receivers drafted and developed. Shut up! You know what they just did? They did the same thing Ron Wolf did when I was in Green Bay. What'd we do to push the Packers over the top, Jake? Do you remember? Hand me that, Mike. Hand me that trophy right there. This is what the Packers did when I was there. We went out and got Reggie freaking White, the Minister of Defense. That isn't drafting and developing, is it? You think Xavier McKinney, who had 8 interceptions, is drafting and developing? No. You think Josh Jacobs was drafted and developed? Hell no. Green Bay is on a mission to win it all now. And Micah Parsons is their version of Reggie freaking White. Ready? Break.
Andy, you have no idea how bad I want him to be the next coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Like, just
sure.
Like, I am so down with it. Like, get me the you-rah-rah guy of John Gruden. He's based in Chicago now with Barstool. That's where that audio's from. And like, that would just be
and Big Cat's obviously a huge Badgers fan.
Just completely shift it. Let John Gruden be the next head coach of the Badgers. We don't have to talk any more college ball because I want to talk Packers for sure, but I needed to say that piece out there for everyone else to hear.
I'm going to take off the rest of the day. Just play that on loop for the next 33 minutes. Don't even do commercials. It's not worth it. We're just going to do 33 minutes of that playing over and over because it is goosebump worthy every single time I hear it. It gets me insanely fired up. I had to hear it again. It's just Gruden talking football. Like, there are certain people that when they talk about something, it just draws you in. Did you remember that that the story of him and Andy Reid drawing up plays for Mike Holmgren?
No, I don't think so.
There's one that he did where he talks about him and Andy Reid drawing up plays for Mike Holmgren, and it is just like it's. I don't even know how to define it. I could listen to it like every single day to wake up in the morning and feel better. It's just, it's basically about, I'm paraphrasing this obviously to a large extent, but it's basically like how him and Andy would draw up plays for Mike Holmgren every single time. And like Mike would always go with Andy's plays like every single time. Oh, Andy, this is a great play. Let's use this one in the game. Oh, Andy. And Reid would always give Gruden crap for it. And so like, John Gruden went into a specific session and drew up a couple plays for it. And Holmgren was in an upset mood. And Holmgren goes up, what? You don't think our plays are good enough? You think your plays are better than what we already have in the playbook? And just giving Gruden like all the crap. And he's like, no, it's not. Like, he felt like he's like, I don't know what. He's like, I don't know what to do. And then so all of a sudden, in the middle of a game, I forget which team they're playing, but they call one of Gruden. They call the play that Gruden drew up. And it's a huge gain. It's a huge pickup. I don't know if it was a touchdown or whatever, but it's a huge pickup. And Gruden's like, that's my play. He's like, that's my play. I drew that one up. That's my play. And then late in the game, sure enough, they need another big play. And it's basically like a Favre bootleg, and Favre like keeps it for a rushing touchdown to like seal the game. And that's the other Gruden play. He's like, that's my play. That's my play. And so he gets on the plane after. And Holmgren calls like Gruden up, and he's like, kind of saying like, hey, those plays worked pretty well. Hands him a game ball and gives it to him. And Gruden walks back right in front of Andy Reid and goes, game ball, like shows it right into his face. And it's just, the whole story is just absolutely amazing. But that is a guy that I could listen to talk football for probably just about ever.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I don't know all the stuff that happened with the Raiders and stuff like that. I know there's some controversial stuff there. Outside of that, because again, I don't follow that. I haven't covered it or whatever. But what a hire for Barstool, because again, what he is doing over there, he fits in obviously with their brand perfectly, and just getting to hear him talk football again is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and he knows ball. Like, I mean, you can tell that
Beyond.
it is like, that is a football brain. Like, that guy was made
Nonstop
to know football the entire time. He has the intensity that is like stereotypical gym teacher / high school football coach. But on top of it, he has the brain and intangibles to be the guy talking about football.
No, he really does. And not only that, but like the guy could probably be describing, some lady picking out watermelons at the grocery store, and I would be like enthralled. I'd be like, this is the most amazing thing ever. He just has that charisma about him too, where you kind of want to listen to him and what he has to say. So it's fun to listen to. And certainly when he's talking Packers, it's even better. I want to get into, there's so many different directions we could go today, but I want to get into a little bit about Micah Parsons, as Gruden kind of talked about there, of going out and getting their version of Reggie White. Tommy, I had the opportunity. I went out, and you can check out the full episode today on the Pack a Day podcast, but I graded every play of Edgerrin Cooper from 2024. So I went and watched every single one, all 22, and reviewed how he played this past season. PFF had him over a 90.0 grade for the third or fourth consecutive year. Every year of his career, he's in that range. So I want to see what does that look like? Just to give you a little bit of a history lesson. And if you're not familiar with my grades, that's okay. The number system doesn't matter. It just you can start to glean just from the conversation where this is headed. Xavier McKinney last year was the leading defender for me with my grades with a plus 6.60, understandably, right? Like unbelievable season for Xavier McKinney. Edgerrin Cooper was second with plus 4.75. Rashawn Gary was third with a plus 2.10. So that's the leading three of the Green Bay Packers in 2024. Rashawn Gary led, obviously, the defensive ends with a plus 2.10. And then Brenton Cox, negative 0.1. LVN, negative 0.4. Aaron Mosby, negative 1.05. Kingsley Nigbari, negative 1.85. And Preston Smith, negative 2.05. So that was the total group of defensive ends for a total grade of negative 3.35. That, like, the defensive ends were in the negative pretty clearly this past year. I don't think anyone's going to debate that all too much. So that's where we were at from a defensive end standpoint, and from a just top three players on defense standpoint. Went through, and remember, Micah only played 13 games. It was really kind of like 12 and a half because he went down injured in one of the games. But 13 games, he had a plus 8.55 grade, basically 2 points better than Xavier McKinney would have been. So quite easily, would have been the best player on the Packers defense. And imagine had he played the full 17 games. Here's the additional thing on top of it. He did not have a single game where he graded in the negative. He had one game for PFF that he graded in that negative. For me, he had a plus 0.05. So for me, it was more of like a neutral grade, but he didn't have a single game for me that graded in the negative. He was a net positive every single game. The entire defense for Green Bay last year for me graded plus 9.7. He was plus 8.55 on his own. And this was, by all statistical measures, a top 10 defense last year. And now you're getting a player that's basically doubling your good plays in a season in Micah Parsons. It was remarkable to see all the things that he was capable of doing. And I'll just add on top of that, the grade, the plus 8.55 grade doesn't even begin to account for the impact that he makes on the game. The amount of times that a quarterback is just getting rid of the ball, where it's like 3-step drop and out because they're worried about Micah Parsons wrecking the game. Tommy, there was a play. I have seen double teams. I have seen triple teams. I've never seen a quadruple team on a player. I posted this out on Twitter yesterday. He gets, so there's the initial tackle that blocks him, 2 hands, gets him right away. And then there's a tight end that picks him up after that. After that, there's a running back that comes up and chips him. And then there's another guard waiting for him after that. There are 4 different players that get 2 hands on him during the course of a play. And he's still like getting in the backfield and getting some pressure as well. It's a really remarkable thing just to see how offenses adjust because Micah Parsons is out there on the field. Just to have that as something that teams are always cognizant of, always having a game plan for, always having to be on extra alert for. and I'll add this on top of it as well. I didn't think that the Dallas Cowboys were super creative with him. It was really lacking imagination at times with how they used him. It was just a lot of lining up at defensive end. Every once in a while, they'd kick him inside defensive tackle. There was very little like double A gap blitzes. Every once in a while, they'd put him over center. But it really sort of lacked any imagination. And even just the stuff that they even did do from a creative standpoint, a lot of times the rest of the defense wasn't based kind of around it. I didn't think there was enough twists and stunts. Like Jeff Hafley is going to unlock him, in my opinion, in a pretty major and significant way, to the point of just being able to make it so that teams can't ID where he's going to line up on any given play, and just kind of keep him moving around and making it so that you are getting advantageous looks. And when there is a hint of a team that might be triple teaming him or even quadruple teaming him, maybe he just drops back in coverage in some of those plays, acts as a decoy, and now you've got 4 guys that were set to block him or 3 guys that were set to block him, and they're kind of in no man's land. So I think Jeff Hafley is going to utilize him in a much better way than even Dallas was. The other thing, even just I'll add on top of it, Dallas was a bad football team last year. I mean, a bad football team. They spent a lot of games playing from behind, including well behind in some of them. He didn't get a lot of these opportunities where they were playing from ahead in a lot of games and like just clear and obvious passing situations where he can just tee off and get to the quarterback. I can only imagine if Green Bay is up in games this year in second halves of game where other teams just have to throw the ball to get back into it. I think he's going to have a lot more opportunity that way. And he just didn't have a whole ton of support next to him either to take any of that pressure off. I do think Rashawn Gary, Edgerrin Cooper, etc., can take some of that pressure off of him as well.
Yeah, and they're going to have to at some point during this season too. They're going to be expected to at some point this season, because this is a team that was going into a Lions week at least a week and a half ago without the plan of having Micah Parsons a part of it. This was Rashawn Gary's defensive pass rush. This was Lucas Van Ness ready to take that next step into his progression in becoming an every down edge rusher as well for this team. Like Micah Parsons really makes everyone else's job easier for sure, but it also now raises a different expectation line for guys like Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. Gary does not need to get 11 and a half, 12 sacks this year, but he needs to get a strong 8, right? And Lucas Van Ness doesn't need to have 8 sacks this year or 9 sacks this year, but he needs to get a strong, 5, 5.5, 6, right? Like this is now a role that your baseline has gone lower, but the penalty for not hitting that is going to be much greater now with these other edge rushers in rotation now that Micah Parsons is a part of this team. And I think that a lot of people also had high expectations for Edgerrin Cooper going into this season. Now that might even elevate even more because of how great and important he was last year down the stretch for Green Bay. He doesn't really have to worry about the pass rush at all. He needs to be the guy that shows his athleticism on how he's able to get sideline to sideline as much as possible and stopping the run game and being effective on pass rush when called upon. I think that right now, this is an expectation bar lowered for a lot of people on the team because Micah Parsons has such high hopes now, but this is now like the worst you are able to do if you are on this team, as opposed to the optimism we were all hoping for out of them.
Yeah, to me, I need to see Rashawn Gary with those 10 sacks. So he, per PFF, he had 10 sacks in 2023, 10 in 2021. He had 81 pressures in 2021. He had only 47. I say only, it's still a good number, but 47 this past year. He has like every right to go out there with all the one-on-ones that he should be getting. I want to see him back in that 81 right. To me, like that's where you really start dominating on defense. If teams are really focusing on Micah Parsons and some of the stuff, he still beats double teams with a level of consistency that nobody else in the league can do. And now you've got Rashawn Gary getting one-on-ones. If he's in that 70, 80 pressure range again, it is going to be near impossible. And that's where teams are going to have to pick and choose of like, how are we going to stop both of these guys? And then I do want to see guys like LVN and Devontae Wyatt specifically with the talent that they have and the one-on-ones that they're about to get. I want to see them step up as well. So no, I do have a high expectation for the guys that now that all the eyes and pressure and focus is on Micah Parsons, it is up to guys like Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, LVN, Rashawn Gary to step up and still provide a really sound level of pressure to take some of that pressure off of Micah Parsons, but just you should be getting really advantageous looks. It's like having the best cleanup hitter in baseball hitting behind you, and you've got two guys on base, and it's a 3-1 count. And you've got, again, Micah, in this case, your best cleanup hitter leading or hitting right behind you. You've got to be able to make contact, a solid contact. That's the expectation in that situation. And that's what I'm expecting from Rashawn Gary and from the rest of that group this year. It needs to be at that level.
Yeah. And what about now with, let's talk about the other end of this trade, right? And Kenny Clark leaving. Yeah. And we heard him at the top of the hour, and Dallas, I mean, obviously that was a massive part of the trade to bring Micah Parsons in. They wanted Kenny Clark for his run defense and what he's able to provide on the inside too. Like what are some expectations now, and lay it out for Devontae Wyatt and Colby Wooden, whoever might be that starting defensive tackle position too, because they're kind of quiet now after losing Kenny Clark, and there isn't a lot of names that pop off across the national landscape, but it's all names that as Packer fans we know and we've heard before.
Yeah, I think to me they need to be consistent is what I need to see out of them. Like I want to see the same run defense last year carried over into this year. We talk about it like TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, good run defenders. Neither of them had like epic seasons in 2024. So the bar is interesting because again, you were really good at run defense a year ago, and Clark and Slayton certainly played a piece in that, but I think it's meetable. And I also want to see how Jeff Hafley calls defense, because when he came in, what he talked about is being a gap penetrating defensive coach, not only in the passing game, but in the run defense as well. And I think we might see guys like Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, Warren Brinson, these guys that have a little bit more juice in their game. I think we might see these guys get upfield. And I want to see if we end up also like maybe seeing a few more 2, 3, 4 yard losses in the backfield. We might see a few more 5, 6, 7 yard runs, for the opposing team. But if all of a sudden on first down, you give up 5, 6 yards on first down, yeah, it's a bummer. But on a few of those each game, if on first down, those runs turn into 2nd and 13, 2nd and 14s, because you're getting a tackle for loss, I think we could see a little bit more of that as well. So it's not necessarily gambling with it, but I do think they want to get upfield, cause chaos, and then see if they can get in some 2nd and long situations. Because if you can get in 2nd and long and 3rd and long, then you're dictating. I mean, first down is all about who dictates the remainder of that set of downs. Like if it's first down, you get 5, 6 yards on the rundown. It's everything is in the offense is perfect. Like they can do anything they want at that point. And on the same sort of token, if you get, -1 yards, or it's like 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, defense completely dictates to you from there on out. So I almost think there is a little bit of that mentality and that approach of, hey, get upfield. If we allow 6 or 7, we'll survive it. If we allow 11, we'll get a new set of downs. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. And now maybe on the next set, they run again on first down, and one of these guys shoots into the backfield, gets a 3 yard loss at 2nd and 13. All right, now we cook. Now we get off the field. Now we can get a little bit more exotic, and now we can set us up for success and kind of dictate terms from there. So it may not be your traditional, hey, we're going to have our 320-pound guys holding up at the point of attack and just trying to make it so that it's 2nd and 7 and not 2nd and 4. I think we could see a little bit more of like, it might be 2nd and 3, but it also might be 2nd and 13. And I think they're going to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to that.
Yeah, aggressive. And that's really another thing that you got to look for out of these guys, is because they did pick up the 5th year option, right, on Devontae Wyatt, and they did not do it on Quay Walker from that 2022 draft class. Is that what the math is there, Andy? Right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So they're going to have they obviously have to have some sort of faith in that interior defensive line. How much do you think working like LVN into a role on non-pass rushing downs could be in the cards interior to get maybe a Parsons, Gary and LVN all on the field, but like on a 2nd and 6 type situation?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more for obvious passing downs. I still think LVN is more of an edge defender than he is an interior defender, but they're going to try some things. I don't have any question about that. And I think part of the fun of having all these different players is trying to mix and match and see where they work best. So I'm really excited to see what Jeff Hafley does, what creative things he comes up with. And I certainly want to try it. I want to see what it looks like, and I want to give it the opportunity to succeed before I'm willing to just be like, nope, not going to work. So we'll see. But I think that's probably a little bit more for some obvious passing downs. All right, we got a lot more to get to here in segment 3. Really appreciate, obviously, you guys joining us again today. We've got probably a little bit prediction time coming up in segment 3, so do not go anywhere. We've got a lot more Pack-A-Day Radio Show coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Pack-A-Day Radio Show. Reminder that the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder and Ellis is coming up next from 9 to 11. Also, an important PSA for our listeners, the Pack-A-Day Radio Show is also a podcast. You can find us anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite pods. Catch the full episode, listen by individual hour, or jump straight to the highlights. Just open up your favorite podcast app, search Pack-A-Day Radio Show, hit the follow button so you get every minute of every show your way and on your time. Tommy, we have a leadoff show today. It's always better on a leadoff show when we're coming off a victory. I don't know if I've told you. I probably have told you this. I only check the standings after they win. I never check the standings after they lose.
Ooh,
so I got to check the standings this morning.
Yeah, and they moved, right? It's now 6 games instead of 5, which feels a lot better at this time. Leadoff show today, 2:00. So we will be interrupting Wisconsin Sports Daily. Well, actually, I guess delaying Wisconsin Sports Dailies. That'll be just a 2-hour show today from 3 to 5. Freddie Peralta, Ranger Suarez today. Andy, I am still keeping an eye on the Brewers indeed. And yesterday, a fun game as well. Bryce Terang, man, like he's the best player on the team, right? Like, can we just say that right now, Andy? Because no one expected this out of him.
He's so good.
He's so good.
It's crazy that all year long you've been talking about how you hate Bryce Terang and you think they should get rid of him the entire season long. It's really,
Andrew,
you've come along.
Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. I can't let you speak on that because
no, he's been your guy from the beginning. I know
he's awesome. He is Brewers baseball. Like, hit the ball, run as hard as you can, and play good defense. Like, that's what the Brewers want to do. And Bryce Terang does that every single time he is out on the field. It's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure his OPS is over 800 now, which no one was ready for that. And, who is Willy Adames? Who is Willy Adames right now? Because Bryce Terang and the committee have made up for it. All they needed was to play better than Willy Adames last year, and they're pretty much at that level now between the combined homers, what they would have had if Willy Adames would have been on this team again this season.
It's always one of those things of like, can you still though imagine if Adames had like 1 year left of just like, team control and he was still at shortstop, and like, just imagine what that could be too. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's the best team in baseball. It's still crazy to think of like, I mean, they've been 5-5 in their last 10. And so like good, like they're still 5 games better than anyone in baseball. Like, it's still remarkable to say that the Milwaukee Brewers, despite again not even playing their best, is actually, and this is not just a Brewers thing. If you look at the top of Major League Baseball, Brewers 5-5, Jays 5-5, Phillies 5-5, Tigers 3-7, Cubs 5-5, Dodgers 5-5. Like everyone at the top has basically been 5-5, except for the Tigers, who are 3-7. Only the Yankees, who are the next on that list, 8-2, and then the Red Sox 7-3. Then the Astros are 5-5. So like it's been, I think, just one of those grinded out portions of the season where most of the top teams are, kind of already feeling, all right, we're going to get in the playoffs. We know that what matters is ultimately going to be happening in about a month from now. And we're just trying to get through some of these games, not lose our lead, but we're not going super aggressive either. Just feels like it's the real grind of the season right now.
I believe 11-11 over the next 22 breaks the win record for the Brewers. I believe that's what they need. 11-11 over the next 22.
So what, 14 and 14-7? No, 14-8 to get to 100 wins, because they're at 86 wins right now. So to get to 100 wins, they need 14 more wins.
Yep. So that would be the other night, the other milestone to watch, right? If they can get to 100. But I think you break the win record, and then this season is remembered forever, no matter what.
Okay, I want 100 wins. I want 14 wins the rest of the way. I want a World Series win, Tommy. Nothing
they could
else.
Lose every game from now until October, make the playoffs, and I'd be cool if they won the World Series. Yeah, for sure.
No question about it. I mean, heck, what they have left? 22 games?
22 games.
Like all right, so they'd still be 86-76. They'd still finish 10 games above 500 if they lost their last 22 games.
One of 3 teams now since 2017 to win 86 games every one of those years that wasn't the COVID season.
Crazy.
The Dodgers
Absolutely
and the
crazy.
Astros, the other 2.
All right, well, we'll definitely be looking forward to the leadoff show today. All right, we're going to go through this lightning round here as we'll get to actually. All right, do we have time for predictions, Tommy? Do we want to make some quick ones, or do we want to save them for tomorrow?
Let's save them for tomorrow. Why not?
Okay, let's get to our Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day then.
You got to do some smart thinking.
It's time for Andy Herman's final thought of the day.
What are you thinking?
Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What the hell were you thinking?
You're listening to the Pack-A-Day radio show on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
All right, so let's get to. I do want to make some prediction. I want to make tonight's prediction. I want to go Cowboys, Eagles. Tommy, what do you got in this game? What are you expecting? What are some maybe key players or key moments that you're keeping an eye out for?
I am going to say, Andy, that I like the Eagles in this one. As far as key players in this game, like, let's just keep it super chalk. And I'll say that how hilarious would it be if I don't want Kenny Clark to be the butt of any jokes by any means, but if Jerry Jones is like, we made this trade so we can stop the run, and then Saquon puts up 200 yards on them in the next game they play. That's kind of what I'm expecting right now. If they record no sacks and Saquon Barkley gets 200 yards. Like that's the funniest outcome. And I root for comedy and sport, Andy. So that's what I'm going with.
It would be very funny. I almost went the opposite direction of being like, after all the run defense stuff, they're going to have to stop the run. Like Saquon might have like 100 yards through the air and like screen passes and stuff, but I think they hold him under 100 yards rushing. It'll be close, but I think, and he might have, like I said, like 200 yards in total or something. It wouldn't shock me, but I think they're going to do everything they can now to keep him under wraps as best as possible, under 100 yards. But I'm taking Eagles easy in this one. I'm going to say 34-17, and I'm not sure it ends up being that close, Tommy. Like, first of all, you're in Philly. Second of all, it's Super Bowl celebration night, after winning it last year, obviously. Third is, man, I just told you, I watched all of those all those plays from Micah Parsons. Dude, that team is bad at the sport of football. They were not good last year. And I get they had some injury issues and some things like that. They've got, obviously some new players coming in. They have Micah Parsons going out. Micah like the stud of their defense is no longer there. Philly with Tanner McKee boat raced them at the end of last year. Like, I'm taking Philly easy in this one. So I know Dallas is going to want to not have egg on their face. It's a new era for them as well. I'm going 34-17 Eagles, and I don't know that Dallas keeps it that close.
I will give my pick 10-20 today, as we will go through our weekly picks on the Mason Crosby Show. But I will say that if we're just picking an outright winner, I like Philadelphia, but I won't spoil my spread pick or anything else that comes with tonight's season kickoff now, which is, I believe, as they're updating it here, 12 hours and 22 minutes or something along those lines. Like,
that can't be right. 12 hours. Sorry,
no. Sorry. What's the math on that then? Why are they so behind on this here, Andy?
Be like 10 hours and 20 minutes.
10 hours.
Like that.
Okay. Well, they're running reruns here on the 4-letter network. It must be here. So
unacceptable.
I can't believe it.
Time is difficult. We'll get there, Tommy. Tulio in chat says 41-17 Eagles. So he's more on the same wavelength as me, as this could be a boat race. That's fine. I'm fine always with the Cowboys getting boat race. Probably better for the Packers if the Cowboys pick up this win. The Eagles having more losses, just you're probably thinking of them as a top of the league, potentially tiebreaker team. So probably better to cheer for the Cowboys in this one, but that's always a difficult thing to do, and certainly don't recommend it in any real way, shape, or form. We got to get out of here. Tommy, thank you to you. Awesome show today. Stay tuned for that Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder and Ellis coming up 9 to 11 right here on The Fan. You can find the Pack a Day podcast 365 days a year, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow with both Brandon Thorne and Russell Brown. Excited for that. This has been the Pack a Day radio show. Enjoy your Thursday, and of course, go Pack Go.